What would happen if the Earth suddenly stopped spinning, but the atmosphere did not? This question comes from Jason, a curious kid from the United States. If the Earth suddenly stopped rotating while the atmosphere kept moving, the result would be immediate and catastrophic. Supersonic winds. At the equator, the Earth's surface moves at roughly 470 meters per second, which is over 1,000 miles per hour due to rotation. If that rotation stopped but the atmosphere retained its motion, every object and person near the equator would be slammed by winds at supersonic speeds, which means above 343 meters per second. These winds would be strongest at the equator, but areas between 42 degrees north and 42 degrees south, home to about 85% of the world's population, would also face deadly gusts. Global devastation. The winds would last only a few minutes before ground friction slowed them, but that would be long enough to destroy nearly all man-made structures. Even bunkers that could withstand the wind might not survive impacts from debris, including other bunkers. Farther from the equator, the winds would still be extreme. A city like Boston, just north of the supersonic wind zone, would experience gusts twice as strong as those in the most powerful recorded tornadoes. Even the northernmost city on Earth, in Svalbard, Norway, would face winds comparable to those in today's strongest tropical cyclones. Survivors. Most surface life would be wiped out. However, people underground or in highly shielded locations like the Amundsen Scott South Pole Station could survive. The South Pole lies on the Earth's axis, where the surface does not move due to rotation, so those there would be unaffected by the winds, at least physically. They would, however, lose contact with the outside world and eventually notice that the sun had stopped moving across the sky. Oceanic chaos. Over the oceans, the winds would atomize the water surface. The sea would turn into airborne spray, creating a chaotic, indistinct barrier between ocean and air. This continuous churning would cause large amounts of heat transfer. Cold ocean spray would be warmed by the hot air, rise and repeat, fueling global thunderstorms. Meanwhile, the wind's momentum would generate waves and push massive storm surges against west-facing coastlines. In some areas, reaching miles inland, like a mix between a tsunami and a hurricane surge. Eventually, fog would settle over the oceans. This would usually cause global temperatures to fall, and it would, but only on the side of Earth facing away from the sun. Permanent day and night. If Earth stopped rotating entirely, we would lose the normal day and night cycle. The sun would still move, but very slowly, completing one apparent rise and set per year, not per day. This would create 6 months of daylight, followed by 6 months of darkness. The day side would overheat, the night side would freeze. The moon's role. The moon would continue orbiting Earth, unaffected in its motion. In the long term, its gravity would gradually transfer angular momentum back to Earth, slightly speeding up Earth's rotation again, though not by much. This process would take thousands of years, and the new rotation period would be extremely slow. About one rotation every 3,000 years. Still, the moon would slowly undo some of the damage. Just as it gradually slowed the Earth's spin in the past, it would now start to restart it, barely.